Ahoy there, shipmates, it's Connor, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Tier 6 Japanese Dreadnought, the Fuso. So I believe it's the second last Dreadnought until we reach the battleships. Yep, so the Nagato is the last Dreadnought in the line, and then we get to the Yamagi, Izumo, and the Yamato, which are battleships. So let's just talk a little bit about the ship and its strengths and weaknesses, which it has in abundance, both. So, to begin with, we have these 6 guns, these twin guns here. They're, if memory serves, 356 millimeters. Yep. So we have 6 of those. Well, 12. Each one has 2 guns. And their main battery firing range is about 21.8 kilometers, which is already an improvement over the Congo. Congo being my favorite battleship I have yet to play. You can see down here that I'm kind of playing through the Americans. And I've got the tier 3, and that's all I could withstand. They're so bad. But, yeah, the guns on the Fuso are quite good. I get a lot of citadel penetrations. The actual reload speed is not bad. You get to fire like 2 rounds per minute. Yep, 2.1 rounds per minute. The turn time for 180 degrees is 46.2 seconds, which is incredibly slow, but it's to be expected, as it is a battleship. HE shell damage 5,700. Meh. Chance of fire on target is the basic 25%. Maximum AAP shell damage is 10,200, which is good. And that doesn't count citadel penetrations, which can really hurt. And they do with this thing. Firing range 21.8 kilometers again. Now, where is it? The shell dispersal, maximum dispersal, or dispersion even, is 224 meters, which isn't bad at all. I mean, compared to the Americans, who don't even get the range this thing has. I mean, the shot dispersion isn't bad at all. At least half of your shots are going to land if you aim well, and your shots fly true. So, you've got that to look forward to. Now, it does have an anti-air complement, but first I'll go over the secondary armament, which kind of comes into the AA a bit. Secondary armament, so we'll have 4 of these double-barreled or twin 127mm guns, which also serve as anti-air. So, if you're in a close quarters brawl with some other ship, then make sure that these things are set to actually fire at the enemy ships instead of the air units, which you can do with, is it like Control X or something? I can't remember, but there's a way to do it. As well as 14 of these single 152mm guns here, and there's 7 on each side. We'll just see if I can show you. Well, it's going to take a while. You get the gist. So it's quite well armed in terms of artillery, and it's quite well armed in terms of air defense as well. It has a lot of them, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. They have really crappy guns, like all these 13.2mm guns, and then you have a few of these 25mm guns, which is an improvement, but still not that great. It's only when you get to the 127mm guns here, you have 4 of these, and of course they're double barreled, whatever, and they're nice, but they also share, as I said, anti-ship duties, so make sure you choose the targets that you want to be firing at with these things. So, air defense, it has some, which is better than none, I suppose, but at the same time, it's not the best. Now, maneuverability, 24.9 knots, which is a little bit above the Congo. The turning circle radius, 740 meters, which is really bad. This thing is like a brick in the water. It just will not turn that fast. And rudder shift time, 13.7, so it's slowly accelerated as well. Now, the main problem I have with this ship is, it also has really good belt armor, similar to the early US battleships, or dreadnoughts, which means it can take torpedo hits. Better than most. But still, it's going to take a lot of damage. And torpedoes are this thing's main enemy. I mean, it's so slow and cumbersome that it's going to get hit by torpedoes at least 10 times per game from my experience. You can turn in to try and avoid them or anticipate where the torpedo bombers or destroyers are going to be firing their torpedoes from, where they're going to be launched from. But it's so slow that you literally have so little time to adjust and turn this thing. You'll get hit. But luckily that belt armor helps you take less damage from the torpedoes. Also, with the Congo, I could bounce a few like shells here and there, but with this thing, not so much. It's not really that good for bouncing shells. You can angle ships, by the way, that's what I'm talking about. Similar to World of Tanks, if any of you guys have played that. Yeah, where you angle your tank and the shot just bounces off because it's at such a sharp angle. You can do similar things in World of Warships. This thing is not really good at it. I mean, I think the last game I had is the first time I've ever seen a shot bounce, and I've had like, I'm not sure, about 50 games, maybe more in this thing so far. I'm working my way up to the Nagato, which I really enjoyed in the closed beta. But overall, this ship is really strong at range. It's a sniper, play it like that. Don't get into close brawls, especially not with American battleships of a similar tier. That's where American battleships excel in close quarters combat. If I could kind of compare this ship to something in World of Tanks, it would be like the German line of heavy tanks, where they're really good at sniping until you get to like the tier 9 E75, which is a really good brawler, but it's still a pretty good sniper. Keep this thing at range, keep all 6 guns aimed, or 6 turrets aimed at the enemy, keep peppering them with fire. That's another thing. You can see they have 2 turrets here in the middle, so that's 4 guns in the middle. You have 4 guns in front, so if you're facing the enemy head on, or from the rear, if you're trying to, you know, get away from like a destroyer or a cruiser or something, this thing, you can't really bring all guns to bear. You have to be completely lined up to a degree here from the side, a full broadside, to be able to do full damage. But again, yeah, it should have weaknesses. I mean, look at the size of this thing. The guns are amazing. I really kind of do enjoy playing this, but at other times I don't. If I see a couple of carriers on the enemy team or a lot of destroyers, I just know it's going to be a painful game. So, what should we do now? Let's take a look at the research. Excuse me, wee bit of a burp there. Lovely jubbly. So the first thing I went for is the engine upgrade, because this thing is slow and any speed improvement is awesome. So it's a really big plus in my book. After that, I just went with the upgrades for the superstructure with the Fuso B, Fuso C, and you know, the gunfire control system, which increases firing range by 10%, which is good. Having the range is always good. It's just, you know, learning how to aim and lead the target in this thing yourself, which it will come to you pretty quickly. You can just get a feel for this ship after a few games and how it fires. Now, with the commander skills, I myself go for the same things over and over again. It's really up to you, but I suppose there are a few default ones you should be going for with a battleship, like ship survivability, the expert marksman, fire prevention, which you're going to be needing a lot, because it's going to be like the Salem witch trials here. There's going to be so much burning going on that anything that reduces the amount of time fire is going on in your ship is a massive improvement. So get anything that stops fires. I went with the superintendent, which gives me 1 additional charge to all consumables, so I can repair the hull of my ship once more, which is awesome. If I am at range, but I did take a few torpedo hits and I want to get back up, then because I'm at range and I should be dealing damage at quite a distance, then, you know, it'll give me time to heal up. After that, they're into the 4th row here. You know what? I was going to go with last stand and maybe advanced firing training and demolition expert. I could see getting all 3 of these, but first I'll be getting last stand, and onto the 5th row I will be getting preventative maintenance and where is it? There we go. Yeah, jack of all trades, because it's going to be incredibly useful. Now, there was something else I saw here that could be useful. Yeah, last chance would be pretty nice. I mean, the guns do reload incredibly slowly. That's, you get the fire twice per minute, as I said, and, you know, 9% to the minus 9% even to the reload time of the main armament below 20% HP is pretty good. So let's get into a game and see how it actually performs. And I had a game where I actually did get hit by a few torpedoes, quite a few of them actually, and you can see just how much damage this thing will take. It's nowhere near as much as other ships of a similar tier would take. It's pretty awesome. So let's take a look at that. Hello there, shipmates, it's Connor, and yes, here we go. We're in a game here, it's replay. It's a game I had earlier, and unfortunately the replay is bugging out a little bit, so I'm like only a couple of minutes into the game. So I've been firing and ranging shots at this New York and the Aoba cruiser over to the left there. And I'm firing HE. I want to put the enemy on fire. Once he uses his repair ability and douses the flames, he will then take another whole salvo of HE. So he's taking damage while I'm, you know, still reloading and firing at him. So he's always going to be taking damage. I've only just started doing that lately, using HE shells, because they do a lot of damage to cruisers and destroyers. Usually if you do land a lot of AP shots, you will just completely decimate them, but usually it's safer in this thing to be firing HE that will damage the enemy destroyers, torpedoes, rudder, you know, stuff like that. Just don't allow them to strafe around you. That is this thing's biggest weakness. So let's see where these shots are going. I think it's going for the New York again. Now, this was a pretty decent match for me, although we did lose. Pretty balanced match overall. So a couple of hits, not too bad. I'm just going to be firing at this New York for a while, and then our ships just continually start dying and dying and dying. There's a destroyer there, you see him there, the Minakaze Kondryu, however his name is pronounced, Kondrea. He's AFK. Probably bought a cheap bot that doesn't work properly. So, asshole. If we would have had him, we might have won the game. Now, this Farragut is just sitting idle in the water. Not really sure what's up with him. But these shots do land. Set him on fire. And this is about the third time I've set him on fire. So, reloading the HE. And then I will be switching over to AP, I believe. Now, I can't... I don't understand why it's not really showing the proper ammunition that I am loading most of the time. Oh, there we go now. AP. So, yeah, been having a few problems with the replay system. I'm trying to record a lot of World Warships lately, and unless I record it live, which means then I'm distracted and I can't really give good commentary until this thing's fixed. So it's not enabled by default, the replay system. You have to do a workaround, which you can find a guide to online. Now you see those torpedo bombers and dive bombers. They are flying off to rearm. So I'm still going to be taking shots at the New York here. But then I notice that this little destroyer is sitting idle in the water. Or well, you know what, I don't even think he is. But the replay system again is buggy. I can remember that little Farragut flying about all over the place and running in circles around me, and I actually just decimated him with a salvo of HE. See, there he's moving now. Firing at the New York US battleship, or dreadnought. One of the two. Now, one thing I have to mention is that the Fuso, a lot of the shots fall short from where I'm aiming them, and that's not something about the replay system. That has to do with, you know, in game. If I'm aiming for, like, say, the New York, it'll fall about 2 or 3 kilometers short, which I don't understand why it's happening. Ever since I first got it, it's been happening. Right now, it's the Farragut firing at me, but because the replay system is not working properly, he's stuck there in an idle. Oh, there we go now. He's moved now. In fact, some shots landed, did massive damage, put him on fire, and incapacitations as well. Knocked out his torpedoes, which is good. And then I notice that, you know, this little cruiser is coming around the head of this island. So, time to turn around. He's probably dropped some torpedoes, heading the opposite direction, and it ends up he has fired torpedoes, and I just made it out of there in time. So that's what I mean about this thing being slow, and you have to make decisions, you know, well before the torpedoes are even fired. Just anticipate your enemy's movements. There we go. So yeah, I have noticed that HE does a lot more damage to cruisers and destroyers. I mean, you will do a lot more damage with AP if you do penetrate and if you get a lot of shots landing, but the idea of taking out destroyers, torpedoes and their engines and stuff is really, really vital in this thing. Don't allow them to have control over the situation. Limit their movement, limit the amount of torpedoes they can fire. Now, I was trying to fire as few shots as possible at this thing to finish it, but so inaccurate that nothing was landing. Just fire everything at once. As your fella Nero from Star Trek, the reboot says, fire everything, and I just didn't. He got racked. Now that Farragut's making himself an easy target there.
Problem solved, sir.
I don't believe I take out the Farragut. I see more important targets, as in, oh, thing's still broken. The carrier, the enemy carrier. You can see him there. The Vogue just showed up, and I fire some HE rounds or shells just to where I believe he's going to be, and let's follow them. So that's a full salvo. And this carrier has been creating just complete terror throughout this game with his dive bombers and torpedo bombers. And I don't like the idea of, you know, our teams dwindling and those torpedo bombers still being up. So, well, you're about to see. Direct hit. 2 incapacitations, set him fire, and he just sunk. He's right down to the locker. Of course, New Mexico for Utaka coming around the other side of the map there. I know where the New York and the Farragut are, so steam away from them. Try and get my repair abilities up. Get some of that HP back. At this point in the game, we are winning slightly. But I didn't realise that the enemy had kept A by the time the game was over. I'm only just noticing that now myself. So shots out at the Farragut. Again, I can't tell if he's moving. The replays aren't working properly. You can't see the shots aren't coming from where it actually shows you on the screen. So I'm just trying to keep as much distance between me and the destroyer as possible. And that New York, I've got more important things to worry about. In the case of the Furutaka and the New Mexico. Again, there's that Minikaze Kandreya, whatever, being an asshole, and either just had to get up to do something important or just bought a really, really crappy bot that doesn't even move. And there I go into the team chat there, or the all chat, because yeah, he did lose us the game. If we had him, we could have possibly won. That Furutaka is going to be my next target. I noticed that he is just coming around the head of that island, so adjust my aim. Shots out. And I believe I do hit him. Again, the replays aren't working properly, which is an amazing and massive annoyance. Not amazing. The opposite of that. Right, so here we go. This is what I'm actually doing in the game here. Although there is some delays and discrepancies being made here. Now this Aoba, he is actually dead in the water for whatever reason. He doesn't look like he's on fire. It doesn't look like his engines are down. He's just sitting there. You see here, now that he's noticed that I'm firing at him, that he starts to move. Little bit of damage there. Just got him on the move again. Should have been firing HE. And now let's switch our attention to the Furutaka Japanese cruiser. I believe all Japanese cruisers come with torpedoes of some kind. I'm not sure if it's the same for later on higher tier Japanese cruisers, but I'm always just worried if I'm fighting a Japanese cruiser, be aware that it has torpedoes. Shots out. Put him on fire. Incapacitations. 4 of those shots actually landed, which is good. So I'm just trying to keep as much distance between myself and the enemy as possible. because, as I said at the start of the video, this thing is excellent at range. Get anything in close, I mean, it will be more accurate for your shots, and if they do land, you're going to do a hell of a lot more damage. But again, this thing is so easily outmaneuvered that it's not a good idea to allow it to get into close quarters combat with anything, especially American dreadnoughts and battleships. And HE, again, you saw the incapacitations there. It knocked out his guns, it knocked out his engine, his rudder, whatever, and now he's sitting in the water burning.
Torpedoes astern.
But with the long reload, I'm still doing damage because he's ablaze. I anticipated him firing torpedoes, that's why I done the turn there, and I was right. So there we go, a decent game all in all for me. Unfortunately it was a loss. The enemy team did win with a cap of our flag, but still it was a good game to demonstrate this thing's weaknesses and how you can overcome them, as well as its strong guns and range. I mean, that carrier, it was on the other side of the map, and I just sent up my scout plane, fired HE, put the bastard on fire, and he burned to death in the middle of the Pacific. So awesome. Again, with the enemy destroyers and cruisers, turn to anticipate them. If you see them opening up their side to you, it's not because they're going to be firing a broadside, it's because they're going to be dropping torpedoes into the water. So turn as quickly as possible and get out of the way of where they were aiming. It's just about anticipating the enemy's movements and actions and being ahead of the curve. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then subscribe and like. I intend to do a lot more, including World of Tanks, Armored Warfare, and more World of Warships, and maybe even some War Thunder videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time. Bye bye.